On September 11, 2001, our country suffered the largest, deadliest attack on the mainland United States. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. At 9:03, Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower, making it clear that this was no mistake. It was a terrorist attack. Minutes later, then-President George W. Bush was notified of the attacks as he sat in a second-grade classroom in Sarasota, Florida. Shortly thereafter, he made a statement where he described the unfolding events as a national tragedy and an apparent terrorist attack on our country. At 9:37, a third domestic airliner, Flight 77, flew into the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C., prompting an immediate evacuation of the White House and Capitol building. At 9:59, the infrastructure of the South Tower gave way, and the building fell to the ground, killing hundreds. The North Tower would do the same less than 30 minutes later. Within 4 minutes, a fourth plane crashed into a rural field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after passengers on board fought against hijackers and prevented the plane from reaching its apparent target, the White House. At 8:30 that night, President Bush would make his final address of the day when he said, "Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts." Pre-9/11, Delaware had the Department of Public Safety, which was responsible for examining threats in Delaware based upon criminal activity, traffic safety, and emergency management. Shortly after 9/11, the department was reorganized and renamed to the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. The name and structural change allowed the department to expand its scope of responsibility to include terror threats to the homeland. A quote from Reuther.
I'm a special agent for the Department of Homeland Security Investigations. I'm a computer forensics agent. Because of 9/11, they combined Immigration and Naturalization Service, who I was with previously, and United States Customs Service into one organization and called us Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And we were formed March of 2003 was the day I guess we all combined together, March 2003.
The new department combined agencies such as the United States Customs Service, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and the United States Coast Guard. The creation of DHS allowed for a better sharing of information among these agencies, ultimately making for a safer and more secure nation. Shortly after the September 11th attacks, the Transportation Security Administration was created with the passing of the Aviation and Transportation Security Act on November 19, 2001.
What they did was take a bunch of different organizations, Legacy Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, and Legacy Customs, who both worked at like a port of entries, at the borders and such, and combined us. So the sharing of information was better. Instead of before 9/11, if you came through the airport, you were inspected by a person that just knew immigration when you showed your passport, and then you were inspected by a person that just knew customs, what you were allowed to bring in the U.S. Well, now that one person can either inspect your passport or can inspect your luggage because he or she knows both jobs.
The TSA is now responsible for all checked baggage and has streamlined the security process in transportation hubs throughout the country.
We also have started pre-flight inspections where we're pre-inspecting people before they come to the United States. We're giving them pre-clearance.
These improvements are in part due to the installation of full-body scanners in all major airports. These high-security scanners will soon be replaced with millimeter wave scanners, a move that the TSA says will help to speed up the security process. In 2003, the United States Customs Service and Immigration and Naturalization Service combined to create Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The ICE currently employs over 20,000 agents and is present in all 50 states and 47 countries. Our southern border is 1,969 miles long and stretches from Imperial Beach, California to Matamoros in Mexico. Each year, 350,000 people legally cross the border that is protected by 12,000 federal agents. To the north, the United States-Canada border is twice as long, approximately 4,000 miles to be exact, and is protected by 1,000 agents. It stretches across the northernmost part of the mainland United States and southwestern Alaska. Since the terrorist attacks of 2001, a better sharing of information has been established at the borders, in addition to tighter security, more patrol agents, and more special operations. There has also been an increase in X-ray machines and radiation detection equipment, and in 2009, a secondary security fence was established along the southern border.
Now everyone has to have a passport. Before 9/11, you could go to Mexico, day trip, go for a couple hours, you never needed a passport. Same thing with Canada. Right. Well, now you have to have it.
Just how effective have these improvements been? By the numbers, the number of border security agents has doubled. The amount of illegal immigrants caught crossing the border has gone down by 65%, and authorities have uncovered over 40 secret tunnels between the United States and Mexico.
You'll see, especially along the southern border, there's more mobile X-ray machines for the semi-trucks. When they come in, they're getting X-rayed. There's more inspectors, which is what we call the people that are at the port of entries or at the seaports, looking at people, inspecting vehicles. They've given us more canines, which for drugs, bombs, and people, sniffers. And you could not do it without canines at even in Wilmington or any of the ports. You couldn't do a large job without the canines.
They're uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism act, better known as the USA Patriot Act, was signed into law by President George W. Bush on October 26, 2001. This law was a legislative response to the September terrorism attacks in New York, the District of Columbia, and Pennsylvania. This piece of legislation reinforced the ability of CIA, FBI, and federal prosecutors to identify and disable terrorist networks, gave immigration officials access to electronic and oral evidence that had been submitted to a grand jury, granted immigration officials access to the FBI's wanted person list, and approved the ability of federal foreign intelligence officers to coordinate and share information with federal law enforcement officers. On September 20th, the United States issued an ultimatum to the Taliban, demanding they deliver all leaders of al-Qaeda to the U.S., release all imprisoned foreign nationals, immediately close all terrorist training camps, hand over terrorists and supporters to authorities, and give the U.S. full access to terrorist training camps. The Taliban rejected the ultimatum the following day, prompting the United Arab Emirates to withdraw their recognition of the Taliban as the official Afghan government on September 22nd. The United States and Britain initiated military action a few weeks later on October 7th, thus beginning the war in Afghanistan. Later, the war in Iraq began with the invasion of Ba'athist Iraq on March 20, 2003. This resulted in the invasion and occupation of Iraq and subsequently the Ba'ath Party government being overthrown. With the implementation of many public security improvements, the United States officially withdrew their forces from Iraq on December 15, 2011, after 8 years, 8 months, 3 weeks, and 4 days at war.
Online hacking of everything from your identity to security systems to banking systems to the government systems, all that's the next frontier, because you could cause a lot of damage to our country, a lot of countries, if you get into the computer systems for information, to take our information, or the banking systems and mess with the banking system. What about they hacked into Wall Street, the stock market, and changed the exchange, what stocks are valued at? Think of the repercussions, how that'll have it across the board. And that's probably the one area we need to continuously improve in is information security. And it's growing, and we're getting better. It's needed just really for everyone's protection. And there's a lot, I'll say there's a lot of other incidents that never make the news, never make the papers, and just never known about information we received, people we've actually intercepted at the airports that never make it to a plane and it never makes the news. There's a lot going on.